Hello, hi everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Let's get started with Hi, hello everyone and welcome, and thank you for joining us today in this roundtable. Today we are going to cover the topic Practical Career Insights for Tech Professionals in LATAM. The idea of this roundtable, this design, this session as an honest and practical conversation open to the community with people who are building different careers in technology with different experience, from computer science to engineering, UX, and community leadership. The goal today is not to give just generic answers, but also to talk about relevant experience, common mistakes, and most important, insight that you can apply in your career. So let me introduce you to the panel that is going to be participating in today's event. We have here Vanessa Marlene Sanchez. She is a UX UI designer. Hello, Vanessa, and welcome. She's a front-end developer also, and is a LinkedIn content creator and a former woman tech maker ambassador at Google, and also recognized by Microsoft. Alongside with Vanessa, we also have Maria Alejandra Franco. She is a software engineer with over 4 years of experience as a backend developer at Python. Hello, Alejandra, and thank you to have you here today. Alejandra also is a leader of PyLadies Medellín. That is where we met her. And she also co-organized a MedellínJS. Finally, but not less important, we have also here Katherine Yubiza Vergara. Katherine is a programmer and an educator with a master's degree and a PhD in computer science. Welcome, Katherine, and it's a pleasure to have you here today. Katherine also is the first Chilean woman to win an Abie award in the United States, and in addition, she is the founder of several initiatives, including STEMtivistas, Duolab, and Tónico games. My name is Pamela Ibarguren. I'm the director of engineering at Howdy. My background is in economics and business intelligence, but I've been working in the IT industry for over a decade in different roles. I'm specialized in change management and also in technology management for startups, and I will be your moderator today. Again, thank you, Katherine, Maria Alejandra, and Vanessa to be here, and let's start with this roundtable. So, before we pass along the mic to this amazing woman, we are going to briefly talk about Howdy, the company that is hosting today's event. Howdy is a US-based company headquartered in Austin, Texas, and our goal is to connect tech professionals across Latin America with opportunities at US startups since 2018. At Howdy, we focus on creating the right match between engineers and partners with the goal to building long-term relationships. The idea behind it is that you don't have to leave your family, your friends, or your country to access to top tech opportunities. And also, we go beyond only hiring. We are there for you all the way. We assign an engineer mentor to you from the beginning, who will support you along the way, from the onboarding to your career development and also to your day-to-day challenges. We are there to support you. Today, Howdy has 10 offices across several countries in Latin America, and we keep on growing. So if you are interested in Howdy, please access to our website, howdylatam.com. Finally, before we start, I recommend you to stay until the end, because we are going to be giving away a 3-month cloud subscription for you. And in a few minutes, we are going to share in a form in the chat for you to complete. And at the end of this conversation, we are going to announce the winners. Also, we are going to be gathering any questions you may have in the chat. So we are going to address them at the end. So finally, let's start with this conversation and go to our first topic and try and hear from our wonderful speakers that we have here today. Let's start by talking about challenges we see today in Latin America when we want to improve our tech careers. Across the region, we see a lot of talent and many tech professionals, but improving your career in technology often feels confusing, and also is full of contradictory advice. I would like to start with Katherine asking the following questions. Why do you think this happens, and what are the obstacles that you think are specific to Latin America in your opinion?
Thank you for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here with all you and with this amazing woman that shares this space. And I'm gonna answer this from my knowledge in Chile, but also what I have seen in other countries in Latin America that I have worked on before. And I feel that talent is not the main problem, it's not the main issue. I work with social capital because it is the main challenge today, which is the unequal access to the conditions that allow talent to grow. These include gaps in education quality, limited exposure to role models in tech, especially in the case of women, fewer mentorships networks, less access to cutting-edge ecosystems, also weaker bridge between academia and industry, and often a lack of information about how hiring process really work. Also, I think that English is a real barrier because so much of the global tech conversation opportunities happen in English and networking happens in English. So you really have to work that skill as well if you want to success in tech in Latin America.
Thank you for your answer, Katherine. I really appreciate, and it really resonates with me and things that I see every day when we are talking to candidates and when we were evaluating profiles. You mentioned something regarding role models and mentors. So here we have Vanessa and Maria Alejandra also that are great members of their communities and can be also role models and mentors. And for you girls, if you were to be a mentor for somebody who is trying to understand what are the tech skills they need to develop for being competitive, what would you say are the ones that are getting overvalued and what are the ones that are underestimated that they should tackle? Vanessa, Maria Alejandra, the one that want to answer, is fine for me.
Okay. Okay, I think sometimes specific technologies are overvalued. People focus a lot on tools, frameworks, or trends. But some of the most underestimated skills are communication, collaboration, and problem solving. The engineers who grow the most in their careers are usually the ones who can explain ideas clearly, work well with different teams, and take ownership of problems. I think that is the most important.
So more in the lines of soft skills rather than especially on tech. Actually, I agree with that. Vanessa, any comments on that?
Yeah, I think it's important to develop some skills around a technical skill properly, but it's important to have humanity skills because all components is the most focused when you are mentor. You need to understand the needs of people, you need to understand the context, and you need to be empathic also. So in my case, I think all the skills is important. All the skill in general is a component when you are a mentor.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, have a take on this. I think the same. Soft skills are something that is more than ever something really important to have, especially because right now with all the technology we have in AI, the cycles for learning a new technology have really shortened compared before. Before you have to start to learn a new technology and you have to dedicate a lot of time to gather the experience you need in order to be professional at it. And right now you have a really important assistance and support in IA. So the main issue here is how we use it, how we develop, how we understand to ask the correct question, how we use it in a way it bolsters our productivity and also allow us to do things that before we weren't doing because of that support. So definitely analytical thinking, problem solving, exposure, understanding and having experience on things are something that I really value right now because are the skills that are needed to work with these new tools that are around in the market. Cool. Now that I get personal, I also want you girls to get personal as well. So the following questions that I have for you are in that line. Katherine, you have a lot of experience with projects, ideas, and research. Actually, you have your own startups and work on that. You have a gaming company that I think is awesome. How do you decide which ideas are worth developing that help you with your career, that generate a real impact in that sense?
Thank you for the question. I think in research, it's actually very similar to entrepreneurship because everything has to come back to the user. That is the starting point for any strong idea. And it's also the place you need to return again and again. Every time you have a question, every time that you don't know how to follow an idea or you don't know what to do with the product, you have to get back to the user. Every important question should ultimately be answered by this point of view. So that is why I try to keep in mind and to ask myself when I'm choosing idea to develop. And I think I always do like 3 questions to myself. Like, first, I decide if the idea is worth pursuing. Like, is this a real problem in the real world? Is this something that is causing a pain to someone? You know, is there someone who is already experienced this as a problem? And then you have a credible reason to work in this problem because you think, okay, so someone is having a pain from this. Now, what I can do with my knowledge, my experience, and my level of access to solve this. And this idea will create value across the space beyond research and will go into industry, will go into education, will go into policy. And I think that's the way to choose which ideas are worth pursuing and which one are not. And I think when I answer these questions with yes, I mean, yes, this is a valuable problem and I can make a change in the industry, education, or any area where you're working, there is a strong reason to move this idea forward. As a PhD and also as an entrepreneur, I think it's very easy to fall in love with interesting ideas. But I have found that not every interesting idea creates impact. The best ideas are not only intellectually exciting, they also open doors, generate evidence, they help to build meaningful solutions, and that's the way you know something is important because it actually matters and changing people's life.
For sure, definitely. Creating value, support, solving a real life problem or an important problem are the things. And I'm in agreement with what you say. For something that is only interest doesn't generate enough traction for like moving forward, not only in companies but also in personal life. Vanessa, do you have any comments to add on Katherine's idea or Maria Alejandra? No? Okay, let's move forward to the following question. Vanessa, now that I have you also already on the spot, I have a question for you. You have built a strong community on LinkedIn and many people follow you for content and ask advice on how to create portfolios. Portfolio is a really tricky thing because it has to be meaningful, it has to be impactful, and also has to be really nice. So what does a portfolio need to be truly hireable and not just interesting for the person that is developing it? And how can somebody stand out in their field through LinkedIn and their portfolio?
Okay, there are good questions. Initially with portfolio. Okay, one thing I see very often is that many people think a portfolio is only about showing nice screens. But when companies look at portfolios, they want to understand how you think and how you solve problems. A strong portfolio explains the story behind the project and shows your motivation for the project. Some important things to me include the problem you want to solve, your process and how you solve the problem, the decisions you made along the way, and the results, impact, or lessons you learned. From experience in technical interview for junior roles, I've noticed that best candidates explain their ideas and choices clearly. You don't need many projects. In fact, 2 or 3 well-explained projects are usually enough. Probably each one clearly explains your thinking. For example, for developers, it's also important to show 3 things. How you work together with designers, US-related technical decisions, the ways you make your projects easier to use for everyone, for example, by improving usability and accessibility. By showing projects, it's important your portfolio shows your skills and the way you support a team, not just a gallery of visuals. Respect the second question about LinkedIn. Another thing I've noticed that many professionals use LinkedIn when they are looking for a job. However, LinkedIn can also be a powerful tool to show your professional growth over time. You don't need to publish perfect content. It's a bad idea when you are a content creator, because what that really helps is sharing your learning process and your learning working on projects. For example, for me, you can share what you learned in your file, insights or challenge from your projects, how you solve a specific problem, reflections about tools, UX, or development. When you do this regularly, people start to recognize you and sound active and involved in your file. This creates something very important: professional visibility and credibility. Many opportunities appear not only because you apply for jobs, but because people already know your work and your perspective. This visibility can open doors to things like collaboration with another professionals, get chance to keep tabs or share knowledge, partnership or projects with companies or brands.
Thank you for that, Vanessa. I think it's really important. And again, you repeat some concepts that Katherine already mentioned. That is, should be an idea that is useful. Should be something that has to be interesting and be useful for others. Maria Alejandra, I was really looking for you to ask this question to you, because definitely something that I hear a lot of people talking about it: the presence in community and the value of community and being part of communities. As Maria, as a leader of several tech communities, you work very closely with developers who are growing in their careers and trying to build visibility in the tech ecosystem by joining communities. How do you build a tech reputation in those communities and go from a passive passive player to somebody that is leading those communities and creating their own brand or their own name among those big groups?
Thank you for the question. Yes. Building a technical reputation doesn't happen overnight. It usually starts by sharing what you learn. For example, writing posts, giving talks, contributing to open source, or participating in tech communities. In my case, being involved in communities like PyLadies Medellín and MedellínJS has been incredibly valuable, because communities create spaces where people can learn from each other, collaborate, and build magnificent connections. And over the time, these connections becoming opportunities. For example, my first experience like backend developer was thanks to a friend that I met in a community. So for that reason, it's so important to participate in that communities and make networking, and give talks, So for that reason, I think it's very important.
And if you had to advise somebody, you will ask him to focus on local communities or also communities abroad in other countries and also in the USA. Are those more trickier or difficult to access and to create a brand rather than local ones?
You can start in your local communities in your city, and when you go with this community, you can start growing and meet people that can help you to go in another countries and meet new people that can
help you to develop new ideas, or help you to introduce you to other groups in other places and give you cardinality, so where to go?
Of course, yes. That was my idea. So awesome. You can begin in your local communities in your city and start growing step by step. And yeah.
That's a great tip. Katherine, Vanessa, you girls, Katherine, I imagine so, because of what we have heard about you. What is your experience with local communities for growing in tech?
I think they're really, really important. It's like the first step that every person should take before wanting to expand their career. And when they start thinking bigger about their career, they first have to go with the people who did it before and learn from there and take their experience and take their choices. And then think twice and maybe think like, okay, this person did it this way, I'm gonna do it different. Not because something worked for other person in the past, it means it's gonna work for you. So we have to stay very reflexive about the advice that we receive, but definitely be part of a community, because not only is the advice, it's the energy that you're gonna get that's gonna push you to move your career forward.
Yeah, and also I think communities give you the context, right? What is out there, what can be possible, and you can pick. You don't have to to be tied to one experience or to tied to one advice. All advice are valuable and valid depending on the context. You were mentioning today the importance of the role of the mentors. We here at Howdy really believe in that, because we have a special system established for that and to guide our engineers and our partners. But if you don't have access to Howdy, definitely in communities, you can find those mentors, people that have already go through what you are trying to go through, and that can be an example, or as you mentioned, something that you don't want to do and you already know the results of choosing that path. That's great. That's great. So I'm from Uruguay. Kate, you are from Chile. We have Vanessa, and also we have Maria Alejandra from Colombia. It's impossible not to ask the question regarding diversity, right? Diversity of profiles. I'm an economist. You guys have other roles. We are in different countries. I imagine also in our public non-audience today, we have different profiles as well. So, Katherine, this question is for you. Let me go for it. So, what do you think companies still don't get about diversity, and what practical changes could they implement this year that would make the difference to incorporate people like us and the same people that we have in our audience today that have so much to give?
Thank you. I think what many companies still do not fully understand is that inclusion is not only about bringing diverse talent on board. It is about whether people can stay, grow, and feel they belong in their new job. So for me, the BAFTAs incident is a perfect example. I don't know if you guys hear of see this incident.
Give us a bit of context about it for if people doesn't know what it is.
Yes, I'm gonna give you a little bit of context. BAFTAs is a movie award where they give you prizes. It's the biggest movie award in Britain. And they invited a person with Tourette syndrome. And this caused a huge controversy when forbidden words were said. I think that's the best way to explain it. And for me, it's the perfect example of how when organizations still get inclusion wrong, things get wrong. Because maybe they believe that was being inclusive, bringing these people into the room, but inclusion does not end with the invitation. It requires changing the environment so people can participate in a way that is safe, supportive, and sustainable for them. Otherwise, it will happen exactly what happened in the WhatsApp award, that it was a mess and everybody felt like this was not taken care properly, So what looks like inclusion is actually just representation if you are not accommodating the need of the person who is bringing on board. And I think that's exactly the problem. I mean, I really hope my example was helpful to understand. I tried to take it from something outside tech. Too many organizations focus on who enters the room, but they fail to make the everyday change that will allow these people to thrive once they're here. And I think one practical change they could implement this year is to audit opportunity distribution. Like not just higher numbers, not just saying we have 40% of women, for example, or we have this kind of amazing diversity numbers. Like, do yourself the hard questions. Who is being promoted? Who is leading visible projects? Who gets access to mentors, to networking? Who is taking speaking opportunities in your company? At the end, inclusions become real when opportunities are distributed equally and fairly among all the people who is working with you.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes what I have detected is this is not intentional. I mean, bringing the diversity up to the front door and then like do not like have a plan for it. Maybe it's not planned. It's not because they don't want to do it. It's just they haven't think about it. For example, something we do here at Howdy a lot is that help through the onboarding process, help to prepare those first days of the people that enter, talk about also the reality of the country the people is in, help them to understand the culture and the differences, because at the end, it's not different to hire here in LATAM or to hire LATAM talent rather than to hire, for example, somebody from Ohio, somebody from Minnesota, and somebody from California. We all have differences and we all have like particularities because of our origin or because of our personality, and it's important to be mindful about it. And I think when we have implemented that, it has been really a success for us to guarantee this long-term relationship. As you mentioned, not only to people on the door, but also to put it in the long way. And we have seen the success of the collaboration, what diversity brings in terms of new ideas, new perspective. Before you were talking about clients and you were talking about ideas being useful for the market and being really solving a problem that we have today. I think, in my opinion, diversity brings a lot of that. Other ideas on how solutions can be useful really, or not be useful for different markets and only for one. Great, excellent. So, unfortunately, we are getting to the end of the conversation, but I have a really important question for the three of you girls. That is the following: thinking of the people that is watching us today, I'm going to go one by one. What are the two or three concrete insights or practical tips that people should prioritize in the next 60 days when they are thinking of making a career or growing in their career or making a career also in the States? Let's start with you, Maria Alejandra, if you want.
Okay. If someone wants to improve their tech career in the next 60 days, I will suggest focusing on three things. First is build something real, even a small project that solves a real problem or demonstrate your skills. That is better than if you do many courses. Second is improve your professional visibility. Update your LinkedIn, share what you're learning, and connect with people in the industry. For that reason, it's so important, communities as well. And third, participate in communities, attending events, joining meetups, or contributing to discussions can open many doors that people don't expect. You don't know if in the future you can collaborate with a person that you meet in a meetup, for example, in MedellínJS, you didn't know. So that was my suggestion to girls.
Okay, great. Vanessa, any thoughts?
Yeah, I have some ideas that are the same, but in my case, if I had to recommend a thing to focus on in the next 60 days, I will start with a small but consistent action. First, work on one strong project for your portfolio where you clearly explain the problem, your process, and your decision. Second, spend some time learning basic UX and accessibility principles, even if your main focus is development. These skills help you understand users better and build more effective products. And third, use LinkedIn with a clear purpose. Share what you learn, talk about your projects, and connect with other professionals in your field. This action maybe seems simple, but over time they help you build visibility, credibility, and better professional opportunities.
Thank you for that, Vanessa. Last but not least, Katherine.
I actually love this question because it's actually very similar to the kind of work I do when I'm coaching people. So for me, I think I have two golden rules that I always tell people. And the first is that stop waiting to feel fully ready and make your work visible today. Like, apply for opportunity that feels slightly out of reach. Just do something that is slightly out of your comfort zone, you know? In my experience, if you do not feel 100% ready for a challenge, that is exactly the place where you should be. because outside the comfort zone is where our growing begins, you know. I think the second golden rule will be invest in career capital beyond technical skills. I know that we all love certifications, and of course they matter a lot. You know, we are here because of our technical skills, but not, you don't have to stop there. You also have to invest in your English and your writing, your communication skills. How's your teamwork? If it's difficult for you, maybe you have to work on that too. If you need more personalized support, maybe get a coach or get a mentor who can help you to move forward more intentionally. Maybe you are not sure how you're learning or how you deal with problems, so you will have to improve your metacognitive skills, you know. So I think it's really important to keep a balance between what we are learning technically with how we are growing as a person that will have to work in a teamwork in an international environment. And as a bonus, and this one is for the leaders in the room, I think review where opportunities are going inside your team. Equity is built through concrete decisions. It cannot be just a slogan, you know. So not only good intentions will help us to reach diversity and tech industry. So ask yourself whether you are truly creating an environment where your people can grow and contribute and thrive. And if the answer is no, just start today to make changes, because what you do in your company will impact the ecosystem, and the ecosystem will impact the whole society.
For sure. Thank you so much for that, Katherine. I think it was really inspiring, not only for people, but also for people that help companies and is looking for hire people outside the US or hiring people outside the regular circles that they move in. Especially resembled with me the first things on your argument, because I have seen so many people that have talent and is afraid to take that leap of faith, right? To take that opportunity because of the X or 10 things that the job offer is listing. They have only 9 or have 8 and not have the 10 of it. Yeah. I think something really important is getting exposure, because by getting exposure, you are going to know how to craft your profile, how to choose what to learn. You mentioned there are hundreds of certifications, there are hundreds of trainings that you have to know that they are out there available for you, but how to know which ones are they going to make a direct and really short-term impact in your search. Because on the long run, we can desire for everything, but in the short run that we have to execute things, we need something practical. And getting exposure can give you that insight about how the market is moving, what are the companies looking for. For example, if you ask me, 2 years ago, we were like seeing that AI was coming, but was not something mandatory. Today, I will advise to whoever is like stepping in the software industry, that is a mandatory to be using and being friends of any AI technology that is helping you to code, but also other AI tools that are helping you as an assistant to make your day-to-day work even easier and faster and cover other tasks. So definitely on my side, I'm agree with everything what has been said, and also putting AI on top, because I think it's something that is here already and is going to be not only for the the IT industry, it's going to be something that is really important, but it's going to be for the whole economy in general and all the roles and the positions. Cool. Yeah. So finally, we're going to have some space for the Q&A, and I have one question. The question is the following: how do you handle cultural differences in international teams, especially when respect for hierarchy in some cultures can be misinterpreted as lack of initiative and productivity? I love this question. I have seen this so much, but I will hope to give you the space, girls, for you to answer.
I can answer if
sure.
Okay. Well, I have this experience from both sides. First, as a leader of a project where I have many of the people who was working with me from other countries, but also I've been part of a team where there is international workers. You know, everyone comes from different countries, and you start to feel this friction, especially because there is some countries where the line between personal life and work, it's a little bit blur. So I think it is really important at the beginning of the work, be quite clear about the rules and what we're going to understand about to be a good player and a good team worker and a good worker in general. So if you're very clear with the rules, it will not matter at the end how you usually do it in your country or how it is in your culture, because you are accepting this job with this set of rules. So you will have to adapt to that, and that will be the way to evaluate if you are performing properly or not. And I think if that set of rules it's too much in clash with your culture, and it is something that you believe that you should not be doing because it's betraying your beliefs or something, there is many jobs, and you also can change job and do something else. You don't have to do something that make you gonna feel bad about it, and then you're gonna be working not at your 100%. Saying that, mostly of the time rules are pretty good, and working in tech is a great industry. I had very positive experience, to be honest, and I never been in a place where like my leader has asked me someone from me that I cannot give.
Yeah, I think the question especially focused on respect from hierarchy and our Latin America inclination to like respect our leaders and not talking if we are not allowed to, or they don't ask us questions, and how can that be misinterpreted as lack of initiative and productivity. I have seen this. I have seen a lot that because of trying to be respectful, or because we are new, or because of some of those fears, we miss the opportunity if we have a good idea to raise our hand and say, hey, I think we are not going in the right direction, or I think this can be done in a better way with this other path, or with this other strategy. In my opinion, respect is not to talk. Respect is for saying things in a good way, respecting the people that you have in front of it. And an advice I have been given once from a person that I really respect was, if you are in a meeting, or if you are in a place where you are invited because you are supposed to be talking. You are supposed to bring your ideas and your input. So I would like to close this question with that insight. If you are there, it's because you matter. If you are there, it's because you have something to say. So raise your hand and say it if you have some good ideas to share with the others. It's going to be always respectful if you do it in the right way. But being shy or shy away from those instances, or being quiet, sometimes can be the worst error that you can do in those spaces. Cool. Well, girls, thank you so much for your time. Again, I think you have been a wonderful panel. Katherine, Vanessa, Maria Alejandra, I'm really happy to have shared this half an hour, 45 minutes with you today, and to hear your stories and your takeaway over this issue, over this point that is really important. I resume this summary, this conversation by understanding the following, or that's my take a bit. There is no single path in technology, but there are decisions, skills, communities that can really make the difference in your career. Expose yourself, be out there looking for communities that can help you, a mentor like Katherine was mentioned, communities as Maria was talking about, where you can take examples or not take examples of the things that you don't like, but expose yourself and be in relationship with others. So, as promised, Katherine, Maria Alejandra, and Vanessa, do you want to say something, like to close today's meeting?
Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor for me to be here with you all, and with these smart and beautiful girls. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria.
Well, I would like to say thank you for the invitation. I really hope that perspectives that we presented today are making real value for everyone. And I also would like to invite women to this tech world. You know, that we are not a lot of women here. The programmers in the world are the only 1% of programmers in the world are women from Latin America. We are not enough yet. So please come here because the job is really amazing and we are changing lives when we're working in technology.
For sure.
Thank you to all for the invitation. It's great to be here with awesome women, and I really appreciate this space to sharing our ideas because it's important to share our ideas or experience to another people. So thank you.
Thank you, three, again. So now, as it was promised, let's talk about the giveaway. We have already a winner for the 3 months cloud subscription. The winner is Heladio. Heladio, we're going to contact you by email after the session's end. And for the rest of you guys on the audience and everyone that was here today, thank you so much for attending. I hope you had enjoyed this conversation, and if you want to keep tuned with this kind of content, you can follow us in social media in Howdy LATAM or at howdy.com to know when there is the following topic that we are going to discuss in spaces like this. So thank you so much, and see you next time.